It's time for your Low Country real estate market update. It's the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show. Brian is one of the top 1% real estate agents in Charleston. Find him online at listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Or call him at 843-345-1273. Now, broadcasting from the WTMA studios, here's your host, Brian Beatty.
Good morning, Charleston. Thanks for joining me for another edition of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show. Good to be here this morning. I have a lot to talk about today. I always say that on this show, but I've got a lot of ground to cover, a lot of really important and helpful information for you over the next hour as it relates to buying or selling real estate this time of year. I always try and take information and apply it to where we are as a market at any given point in time. The goal of this program, if you haven't listened before, is to equip you with information and knowledge so that if you're going to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, you are a knowledgeable consumer with realistic expectations about this market and have planned for success. So if this is your first time listening, let me just tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Brian Beatty. I've been doing this for over 5 years. I've been selling real estate in Charleston for over 11 now. And throughout that course of time, I've sold about 1,000 properties. We'll sell almost 200 or so this year between my team and I. And, of course, during the week, I'm selling real estate. On the weekends, I love doing this program. But if you're looking at buying, selling, or investing in real estate, we'd love to be a resource for you and potentially earn your business. So if you want to reach out to me, feel free to give me a call. My cell phone number is 843-345-1273. That's 843-345-1273. Or you can visit my website, listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. You can learn more about myself, my team, what we've sold, look at any property available for sale in the Charleston area, of course, learn about how we sell properties, and listen to any version of this program that I've previously recorded. I've got several years of information on that website available for you to peruse. So listingsincharleston.com. Here's what I want to talk about over the course of the next hour. The first thing I want to talk about is I want to give you some tips for real estate in the fall. I'm going to talk about all different kinds of things: buyers, getting a mortgage, sellers, what you should know. I'm going to cover a lot of bases here in the next few minutes. I also want to talk about why do homes not sell? What causes a house not to sell? I've boiled it down to 4 things, and this is what I talk about with my clients. It's really one of 4 things that has caused it not to sell: motivation, marketing, condition, and price. So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about some mistakes that you need to avoid if you're searching for a new home. I'm going to give you some really, really helpful tips there. And then lastly, I want to answer that question that's looming in some of your minds, which is our market starting to slow down? I'm going to talk to you about several different sections within our market that might, require a little bit of your attention. If you're somebody that's thinking about selling and you want to wait until next year, you might want to think again. So I want to give you some information to just digest there. So that's what we've got planned over the course of the next hour. Again, if you want to reach out to me and talk about real estate off air, my number is 843-345-1273, or you can reach me online at listingsincharleston.com. So let's first talk about some tips for buying or selling real estate in the fall. And let me just kind of set the stage really quickly. We're in an environment with high demand, low supply, and low interest rates. It's continuing to drive housing sales and price increases, especially in the starter to mid-range homes in our area. But the higher priced areas, especially in the secondary home markets, where someone would buy a second home or a beach rental, so on and so forth, they're starting to stabilize in some instances. And if you look nationally, areas like Seattle, Portland, Denver, they're up 10 to almost 15% in some instances from last year. They're certainly leading the pack nationally in terms of price appreciation. But other areas of the country are really starting to see a little bit of a slowdown. They see it in the higher end section, but now in some instances, they're starting to see the mid-range homes, and even in some instances, the starter homes flatline a little bit. So here's the deal. If mortgage rates rise, even modestly as they're expected to do, sales elsewhere are going to start to normalize a little bit. You're going to start to see a little bit of a shift. And by shift, I mean the rate by which properties are appreciating. I don't think we're headed in totality for a buyer's market anytime soon. I think it's still a seller's market because of the inventory crisis we have. But if interest rates go up, coupled with all of the new construction that's trying to fill that gap in inventory we have right now, I think you're going to see some signs of a changing market. So how do we use that information and apply it to Charleston right now so that if you're buying or selling, you can get a better deal, or you can get more money, or you can buy a home for less money, whatever position you're in? How do we use that information to your advantage? Well, I will first and foremost say, just before I get into that Charleston is insulated from national real estate statistics and overall market trends. So don't necessarily think that what's happening nationally is happening in Charleston, but we have dozens of people moving here every day. So yes, we are indirectly impacted by what's happening nationally, which is why when I do this program, I like to talk about national trends and stats, because it then applies to our region, and then it applies to us here in Charleston. So I always want to make it clear that even certain sections within a specific town, like look at Mount Pleasant, for example. We're going to talk about this, but first-time home buyer up to the mid-range homes in Mount Pleasant is going crazy. There's hardly anything available, still very much a seller's market, multiple offers, a great time to sell your house. Some of the upper-end homes are starting to stagnate a little bit. We're going to talk more about that, but that's just an example. Not everything that you hear applies to us here in Charleston. It doesn't even apply to you in your specific neighborhood versus your friend who lives across town. It's all local. So the first thing I want to say is first-time home buyers, you need to very seriously consider getting that starter home now. And by now, I mean now. More than half of the home sales in 2017 are expected to be first-time home buyers, and the majority of them are millennials, people from 19 to 34 years old right now. A lot of them are moving from rentals. They're moving out of their parents' house and into a first-time home purchase. And these are stats from the National Association of Realtors. 52% is what they're projecting first-time home buyers contributing to overall sales nationally. That means competition. It means bidding wars. And it means those bidding wars at times can become fierce even through the rest of the year, especially, again, for those starter homes in desirable areas where the homes are in good condition, they're marketed well, and they're priced well. So while there might be less inventory this winter and parts of fall, there will also be less competition per house, and you'll also have a higher percentage of motivated sellers. So first-time home buyers, it's a shame in some instances for first-time home buyers because they've saved up money, they're ready to go. Maybe they were ready to go 6 to 12 months ago, and they just wanted a little extra cushion to be safe, which I absolutely support, by the way. I am in no way, shape, or form supportive of getting into your first home if you can barely afford it. I don't think that's a wise move. I bailed way too many people out of properties through short sales and foreclosure back several years ago when our market tanked. That's really where I kind of propelled myself in this industry. I became in the top 1% of agents 8 years ago. Been there ever since, but that's when the market was in the tank. And I bailed way too many people out because they overextended themselves. So make the wise choice when buying your first house. But I'm telling you that time is of the essence because some of these people are being priced out of the market. They just can't afford it anymore. There's just price fatigue in some of these markets. And if we can't get first-time home buyers into a home to buy, then it affects everything else. Because once the first-time home seller sells their home, they buy something more expensive and so on and so forth. It trickles upward, as a way of speaking. So it's incredibly important that first-time home buyers really understand the urgency associated with home ownership. And I'm not putting on the high-pressure sales tactic here. I'm just telling you the truth. Prices are still going up in a big way in those markets, and it's possible that unless something changes for you economically, especially if interest rates go up, it's going to be really hard to get into that first house. You're going to have to wait even longer, and you're going to end up paying more, either in the purchase price of the home or monthly through your mortgage. Second thing I want to talk about is sellers. Hire the right agent. So many times sellers discount the interview process. Some of the best time that you can invest as a seller is in researching your listing agent. A bad hire can cost sellers tens and tens of thousands of dollars and months of stress and worried time waiting for a sale. You have to look at that agent's marketing plan. What specifically are they going to do for you to create exposure and ultimately results? Is their photography professional? Do they do video? Do their listings pop? Are their descriptions accurate? Are they complimentary of the house without seeming, exaggerated? Then you look at their reviews, look at their testimonials. What are other people saying about them? It's so easy for an agent to tell a seller what other people think about them, but the truth really lies in the testimonials or the references. Heck, ask an agent for references. Hey, give me the last 3 deals that you closed, and let me talk to those sellers, and let's really find out how good of a job you're doing. Are you who you say you are? It's a tough question to ask some people, but you're the seller. You're calling the shots here, okay? You need to determine what kind of vibe is this guy setting out. Can I trust this person? Do they care about me? And do I reasonably believe that they can get this job done for me? It's not just about hiring the experienced agent or the enthusiastic agent. It's about hiring the agent that has experience in what you're trying to accomplish. If you're selling $1 million home and you look at an agent that's really well put together, but they focus on $100,000 homes, are they the best agent for you? That's for you to decide. But it's something to think about. So interview these agents. Make sure that you are asking them the tough questions. How many homes have you sold? How many homes did you not sell? How many listings did you take that went unsold? How long did it take you to sell your homes? I mean, my stat is 98% of asking price and in 38 days. And again, almost 200 closings this year. Stats are great, but you might not be the kind of person that has to sell your home now. You might say, look, I don't really care how long it takes, but I need this price. And if the market can support this price, then that's what I need. If it takes 3, 4, 5 months, that's okay, because my reason for selling is driven by something or other than I have to move somewhere quickly. Now, if on the other hand, you're moving somewhere quickly and you're able to give a little bit of a discount to a buyer, so long as you hire an agent that knows what they're doing from a marketing perspective and your home's reasonably in good condition, clearly you have the motivation to sell. So your sale should happen. And in those instances, they're happening in weeks, not months, weeks. So hire the right agent. If you have questions about hiring an agent, let's say that you want to hire an agent to sell a property out of town, or you want to interview me to help sell your house, feel free to give me a call. I will walk you through the steps. I will give you a list of questions to interview, regardless if you want to interview me and other agents. You need to be asking the right questions, and I'm happy to help you do that. Feel free to give me a call at 843-345-1273. Again, that's 843-345-1273. Or go to my website, input your information, and I'll tell you what I think your home is worth. And of course, if you want a more accurate number, we'll meet and I'll walk through it. And I'll give you some pointers on what you can do to increase your home's value. But go to listingsincharleston.com and click on the contact tab, input your information, and I'll happily tell you what your home is worth, no cost, no obligation. And again, it doesn't cost you anything to have a conversation with a real estate agent. I'm happy to do that for you. So again, listingsincharleston.com or 843-345-1273. When we come back, we're going to continue this list of tips I've put together, and then we're going to talk about why homes do not sell. All that and more as the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show continues right here on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA.
Hear the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show every Saturday morning at 9 and each Sunday morning at 10 on 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com. WTMA! Now, the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show continues on Charleston's Big Talker, 1250 WTMA.
Welcome back, Charleston. Thanks again for tuning in to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show. As the discussion continues here, we're giving you some tips on buying and selling real estate in the fall. We're applying some national, regional, and local stats to this discussion so that if you're thinking about making a move, whether it's buying, selling, or investing, sometime over the next few weeks or months or even first part of next year, you're equipped with some information to help you in the decision-making process. And that's what this show is all about. So I appreciate you joining me this morning as we continue to talk about real estate. If you have any questions for me, you want to speak off air, you want to talk about real estate, whether it's just something that I can help you with, or you're thinking of hiring an experienced real estate agent. Again, my team and I have sold almost 200 homes already this year. We've been in the top 1% of agents since 2009. Would love to help you. We've sold 1,000 homes here in the Charleston area. My number is 843-345-1273. That's 345-1273. Call or text that number, or check out my website, listingsincharleston.com, where you can learn more about myself, my team, who we are, what we do, what we sell. Search the MLS. Anything available for sale can be found on my website. You can listen to previous versions of this show. And you can also learn more about what we do to sell our properties, which is really where our pride is in our ability to market our homes very quickly, very efficiently, very effectively to help you get your home sold for top dollar. And we really stand by that. We've got some guarantees that we offer that really make this process simple for sellers, but also profitable for sellers. So would love to help you with that. 843-345-1273 is my cell, or listingsincharleston.com is the website. Let's continue this list of tips that you should consider if you're buying or selling a home in the fall. The third thing that I want to talk about is that there's just more loan money out there right now. You know, those that couldn't get mortgages during the downturn because they didn't have 20% down are now seeing all kinds of programs coming out where, you know, you can put 3% down, or in some instances, you can put 1% down and it be a conventional mortgage. I think the 3% down conventional mortgage has no PMI, private mortgage insurance, on it, which saves you a bundle of money. Plus, they've loosened up the standards on your credit score. Now, there are some products out there that I'm a little trepidatious about. I'm not in love with interest-only loans because while they're affordable at first, since you're not paying principal, later years go by and, well, I mean, just do a Google search for the Great Recession of 2008 and you know where that path leads. So just be careful. Make sure that you can afford the house you buy. It sounds like such a simple statement, but people get excited. They look at, what they can afford, and then they just stretch and they say, well, let's just do 10,000 more. Let's do 20,000 more. We can afford another $30 a month. We can afford another $150 a month. And then they find themselves robbing their cash reserves, or the amount of money that they're putting towards savings, or the money that they need for emergencies, or they're house rich and catch four. They just don't have extra money for extracurricular activities. What if your son wants to start playing baseball? God forbid your daughter starts horseback riding. Holy cow, what an expensive hobby. So just think about your life expenses when you're buying a house. I mean, ideally, I'd love it if your principal and interest payments were about 25% of your total income. A lot of people go a lot higher than that. That, I think, is a very comfortable approach to home ownership. Let's talk to sellers a little bit more. Sellers, it might be a seller's market, but I have to tell you that there are areas of our market that are starting to slow down. As a seller in this market, there are several simple things you can do to enhance the appearance of your home and increase buyer interest by boosting your home's attractiveness. Instead of, as an example, instead of wholesale renovations from which sellers recoup maybe 60% of the investment, do very light makeovers and do it everywhere. Instead of sinking $15,000 into your kitchen, take $5,000 and do small updates throughout. They're more cost effective, and usually they result in a bigger bang for your buck. I really, unless it's absolutely warranted and I can quantify your renovation in terms of here's how much you're going to spend, here's how much it's going to sell for, I will tell you that more often than not, you're not getting your money back. You're not getting $1 back for every dollar you spend. And in most instances, it's 40 to 50%, and that's not good. So just be very careful. If you're thinking about renovating your house, please call me first. I can tell you what's going to work and what's not going to work and what's going to make you money and what won't. And I'm happy to do that. No cost, no obligation. Again, 843-345-1273 is my cell. Listingsincharleston.com is my website. You can reach me any way you want. Another thing I'll say about sellers is clean your house. Clean, and clean some more. It's hard for buyers to picture themselves living in a dirty house. Scrub your floors, your baseboards, your baths, your kitchens, your windows, your walls. Vacuum, deodorize rugs. I mean, they're so simple, but they're effective. And sellers, again, just because you're in a seller's market does not mean that you get to be lazy. You can still sell your house, but they're going to buy it for less. Why not take advantage of the market and sell it for more? It really just is a matter of whether you want to be proactive or you want to be kind of lazy. That sounds kind of very blunt, but it is what it is. If you want to put in the extra time and effort, you're going to sell your house for more money. If you don't want to, yeah, you can still sell your house, but buyers aren't going to be excited about it or as excited about it. Depersonalize, declutter, box up some random photos, put school papers and excess art and mail away, take it off counters, organize your closets, make them look half empty. I've got a list of 90 things to do to sell your house. If you go to listingsincharleston.com and you click on the contact tab and you just say in the description, things to do to sell my house, I will send you that report. I wrote it myself and it's full of a ton of content. If you do everything on that list, there's no way your home isn't selling if it's priced right, period. I'm just telling you. It's a lot. Most people only do 10% of it, but it's, it takes a look at every single area of your house inside and out and tells you what to do. It's a full cover-to-cover report. Let's talk to renters for just a second. Renters, it's very seriously, it might be time to buy a house. I mean, in many cases, rents are rising faster than home values, yet mortgage rates remain low. That and the fact that renters now account for about 37% of households, which is the highest level it's been in 50 years, by the way. It just seems to indicate this kind of imminent coming out party for renters that turn into buyers, especially if they plan to stay in that place for the next 5 or so years. There are all kinds of calculators out there that you can use. The buy versus rent calculator. There's, if you go to bankrate.com, really just do a Google search and do a rent versus buy calculator. There are all kinds of calculators out there, but they're really helpful in quantifying that decision-making process. Okay? Now, if you're a buyer, I do want to say something. Don't bank on a deal getting done or other verbal promises from listing agents until you sign a contract. I'm hearing horror stories right now of other agents that say they've got a deal done and then something happens, someone else comes along, someone gives them a more attractive deal, and then they lose out. If you have a seller accept your offer and it's a good deal, your agent, they better sprint to a computer, get that contract written up or get that addendum to the contract written up. You need to do everything you need to do to sign it quickly, and then we need to get it in front of the seller. The more time that lapses before a decision by a seller, it becomes more likely that someone else is going to come along and offer them something a little bit more. The listing agent is going to do that. Okay? That's their job, is to get the seller the most money possible. So if you make an offer, or if you have your buyer agent call the listing agent and say, hey, we're going to make an offer. Here's what we're going to do. And I'm going to put it on paper. And then it takes that buyer agent a day to get you the contract to sign before you present it to the seller. Guess what's already happened? That listing agent has talked to every single person that's expressed an interest in that house, and they've said, hey, I've got an offer coming in. If you want it, now's the time. They're doing everything they can to generate a multiple offer situation. Is that ethical? Of course it's ethical. I know some of you were thinking, well, they got an offer coming in. Why don't they just wait to see what it is? No, absolutely not. The listing agent is going to do everything they can to get the best deal possible for their seller. So when you drag your feet, it's just buying them time. So just be wary of that, okay? The last thing that I want to say, I'm not going to go through all 10 of these because I want to move on here, but you have to understand the state of your market, okay? A balanced market where there's no real upward or downward pressure on pricing is usually around 6 months. Now, some areas of our market have less than 2 months worth of inventory, meaning if no other home came on the market, everything would be sold in 2 months. That represents a seller's market. Low supply, high demand. Look back at 2010, 2011, when we had like 12,000 homes on the market, whereas now we have like 5,300. A lot more choice, a lot less demand. Sellers don't have the bargaining chip. The buyers do. If you don't take my offer, I'm just going to go down the street and market or make an offer to the home that's being marketed for, $2,000 more and hope to buy it for $15,000 less. You have to understand the market because it plays into your strategy. That's what I want to talk about next. I want to talk about if your home has not sold, 4 reasons: motivation, marketing, condition, and price. Okay? So you need to understand your market. You need to be constantly updated on your market. If you've listed your home for sale and you've only had one discussion about price, which was the listing price, you need to better understand the market trends because markets change. If your neighbor comes on the market and they're $15,000 less than you and their home's the exact same, what does that do to the value of your home or the perceived value of your home in the eyes of a buyer? It means you're now overpriced. Okay? You can use it to your advantage in some instances. Sometimes it hurts you. I mean, if you're a seller and you want to ensure that you're going to sell before your neighbor, cut them out at the knees. List your property for $5,000 less or whatever, is an appropriate amount of money based on how expensive your home is. If you got a $3 million house, $5,000 isn't going to do it. But you know what I'm getting at. So let's take a break. But when we come back, I really want to focus on this topic, which is if your home isn't selling, why? Let's break this down into 4 categories: motivation, marketing, condition, and price. So stick around. A lot more good information coming your way. This is the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA. And remember to reach out to me if you have any questions, comments. Maybe there's a topic you'd like to learn more about. I'd love to know. I'm always fishing for information on how to make this show better. So open to your suggestions on that. And of course, if you're looking to hire a top agent, we'd love to earn your business. My number is 843-345-1273. That's 345-1273. Or go to listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Stick around, Charleston. I'll be right back.
More stimulating talk on real estate matters with Brian Beatty next on 1250 WTMA. Expert news and views on the Lowcountry real estate scene. The Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on 1250 WTMA.
Welcome back, Charleston. Thanks again for tuning into the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA. This next segment that I'm going to talk about, being on this program, which I love doing, it's very therapeutic for me. I get to just come in here and talk about my passion, which is real estate. And again, I've been selling real estate for 11 years. I come from a real estate family that's been doing it for over 50 years. It's what I've always done. It's what I've grown up around. I love it. But this next segment puts me in a little bit of a both privileged and precarious situation. So let me explain myself. A lot of people that listen to this program, they do end up hiring me to help them buy or sell real estate, and I'm very appreciative of that. Having said that, being on this program, I think it's a good test, I think, at times for people to gain an understanding of what it would be like to work with me as their real estate agent. So I just need you to understand that at times, yes, what I say on this program is exactly what I would say if I were your real estate agent. At times, however, I do like being blunt on this program. It's an opportunity for me to just tell it like it is. And I do understand that there are some people out there that just don't appreciate working with somebody that at times can be quite as blunt as I am. So just don't worry. I know how to censor myself at times. I am a salesman. That is my day job. I do not apologize for that. I love what I do. But I'm also a consultant to my clients. I am there to help them through the decision-making process based on my experience to help this transaction be as rewarding for them as possible. I really care about the end result. I'm passionate about the service end of things. So when we talk about this program, just understand that I am telling you like it is on this one. Okay, I'm not really pulling any punches. So let's talk about it. I hope I haven't scared anybody away, but this is really a big passion of mine because I work with a lot of sellers. I very rarely work with buyers, and just, I guess, understand that I have a team of agents. I've got 12 people on my team. We recently let 2 people go. And like I mentioned, we've already sold, close to 200 homes this year. We've sold a little over 1,000 at this point in the past decade, 11 years actually. And so we end up working with a lot of sellers to help them sell their home. And 4 things are going to cause a home to sell or not. And they all work together. Motivation, marketing, condition, and price. Okay, think of it as a stool. If one leg gets kicked out, that stool is going to fall over. It's kind of a cheesy analogy, but it's true. So let's talk about motivation first. I talk with a lot of sellers that had their home on the market and it didn't sell, and they hire us, and we ended up getting it sold for them. About 60% actually of the listings that I sell were previously on the market with somebody else. So the first thing I look at before we dive into the price and the condition of the marketing is I assess the motivation. And it's on both ends. It's the seller and the agent. How motivated was the seller to sell? The price, the condition, and the marketing all play into that. They all have to work together. So let's say that, I talk with the seller and say, yeah, the other agent they just weren't motivated. They hardly ever called. It didn't seem like they really did much from a marketing perspective. We really didn't know what was going on the majority of the time, had very few showings, and it just, didn't work out. So we're looking for a new agent. And I'll look at the price, or I'll look at the condition, or I'll look at the way in which it is marketed. And they'll say something like, we want a much more aggressive agent. We want someone that's going to get out there and beat the streets and find a buyer for us. And so I do my research and I found out, they're 10% overpriced. I have to sympathize it sometimes with the agent here because it's not always the agent's fault. I don't know that relationship. Maybe that agent was saying, look, we've got to correct our price. We're missing opportunities to sell the house. Other homes are selling because they're priced better. They're of more value to buyers. So if let's say the home's 20% overpriced, which I see more often than I'd like to, of course that agent isn't quite motivated. You're either not listening to them, or they don't have the guts to tell you like it is and say, look, this house is overpriced. We need to make an adjustment. Maybe the seller is saying, look, the price is the price. Either I'm selling it for this, or I'm not selling it, and I'll just wait until next year, or I'll hire somebody else that can sell it for that price. Y'all need to understand that agents do have somewhat of an impact on price. Really what they have an impact on is the perceived value through their ability to market the property, the area, the lifestyle, and engage people in a way that gets them excited about your house. That's our job. But we can't sell a property for 10% more than other homes are selling for. That just really isn't in the cards. The market won't support that. On the other hand, if you price your home at 20% below fair market value, it's not like the market is going to let it sell for that price. You're going to get into a bidding war, and you're going to sell for more than that. You're going to sell for very close to what it's worth, almost regardless of whether you're priced too low or you're priced a little above what it's worth. But it's the people that are on the outskirts of the pricing model that just aren't selling. And it doesn't matter how motivated the agent is. We can't create miracles. We like to think we did or can. But I think a lot of agents don't, they don't admit that there's some luck involved here. We have to be in the right place at the right time and find the right buyer that wants to own your house. Okay, but everything has to work together: motivation, marketing, condition, and price. So you as a seller need to be at least somewhat motivated to sell your house. If you don't care at all whether your home sells or not, and you've got this pie-in-the-sky idea of a price that you think you can get for your house, the most motivated agent in the world can't create something out of nothing because there's just no market there to support it. There's no data to support it, okay? If you're motivated to sell, you need to find an agent that has the skills, the tools, the abilities, the experience to sell your home in a motivated fashion without sacrificing quality or your equity. See, you could find a really aggressive agent that gets deals done, but you know what they're doing? And I'm not trying to throw agents under the bus, but this is just the cold hard truth, is there are agents out there that will say, hey, it's listed for $400, bring me $385. I think I can get that done. You never know. Maybe that buyer was willing to pay $395. Not anymore. So just be careful in the agent that you've hired because, and that goes back to what we were saying earlier, take the time to interview your agent. Make sure that they're the right person for you. They need to have the accolades, but you also need to have this inherent sense of trust with the agent that you hire, because if you don't, it's just going to make for a rocky road for you guys, I think. Now, marketing. Honestly, I could talk to you guys for hours about marketing. But the agents that are really effective at marketing have a very firm understanding of where buyers come from. They have the ability to cast a very wide net from a marketing perspective to create exposure for your home, not just online, but in the extra things they do to find buyers. Working with other agents There's a gluttony of agents out there that are working with buyers for your house. What's that agent's plan to get in front of those people? Do they have one, or are they just hoping that an agent's going to find your property on the MLS? And again, it's not just about creating the exposure. It's about having a very refined system on the real estate agent's end for converting interested people into actual business. I could pay for all the marketing in the world, but if I'm the kind of agent that doesn't answer my phone or can't speak intelligently about a market, or that takes my time in getting back to somebody, we're losing opportunities, and it's a detriment to the seller. Okay? Condition. I'm going to just say this fairly straightforward. The better condition your home is in, the more money it will sell for. That's a pretty simple idea, I think, to get your head around, but a lot of sellers in this market are saying it's a seller's market. I don't need to do all those things. My comment on that is, if you did, how much more money could it sell for, or how much faster will your home sell? There is a value to the buyer associated with moving into a home with stuff that's already done, or at least it's clean and it presents itself in a way where they can envision the things that they want to do to the property, not because the property needs it, but because the buyers want to do it. They want to do something to that house to make it their own. Give them the ability to see that picture by decluttering, organizing, fixing things. The more of the little things that they see, like, oh my gosh, all the trim in this house needs to be painted. And then they go and they get a quote from a contractor, and guess what? The quote comes back at $5,000, because painting contractors are more expensive than you think. And then they're starting to realize, man, this house, it needs some work. Maybe we can't afford to do the things that we want to do. We just got to spend money fixing it. That's just one little element that goes through buyers' minds as they're looking at condition. Use that pre-listing time to get your home in order. Make sure the agent that you've hired at least presents what you could do to get more money for the house. Now, it's up to you as the seller as to whether you do it or not. Okay, you're obviously in the driver's seat. But don't you think it's important for the agent you hired to give you the best chance possible at selling for the most money? I think the answer is yes. And then price. And we've already kind of talked about this, but again, this market is price sensitive. Prices have been going up and up and up and up and up, and people are already starting to experience price fatigue. And I think that if you've been searching for real estate in this area over the past year or so, you're kind of asking yourself, they want that much money for that house? Holy cow. It's amazing how quickly that has changed. So if you're off on your price, and this is honest, if you're off on your price by like 5%, it can have an impact on the saleability of your property, because buyers are educated. There aren't as many homes to look through, so they're spending more time per listing researching the area. Okay? Now, I know that the homes that are priced well and in good condition and marketed well sell quickly, but that lights a fire to get them going. It creates motivation among buyers. So when you're priced well, you're in good condition, you're marketed well, you should sell quickly, and you should sell for top dollar. It's the people that say, well, let's price 10% above what it's worth, and we'll just let somebody make an offer. Well, I have to tell you that you're encouraging lowball offers when you do that. And you're also encouraging the type of buyer that's going to want a deal on everything. They might give you a little bit of what you want when they first sign that contract, but if you've encouraged the behavior of, hey, just ask and I'll give it to you, or, I'm going to give you a pretty sweet deal on this, guess what? They're going to beat you up over repairs and anything else they can find. If you price your home correctly, you get to better control the process by saying, no, I'm not going to accept that low offer because I know I can sell it for more. And when you're in that kind of position, the buyers, if they have a good agent or if they've done their research, they know it. They know that house is worth what you're asking, or very, very close to it. And it's unreasonable to assume that you're going to sell it for 5-10% less than that. It's a seller's market. But if you're overpriced, not only are you discouraging people from coming to see it in the first place, but you're essentially having to encourage really low offers, which don't always sit well with the seller, just to get the conversation started. So I do think the price has a profound impact on your ability to sell your house. And I could look at marketing, I could look at condition, but I could put price ahead of all of those things, because homes will sell for any price so long as it's low enough. Your goal as a seller is to hire an agent that knows enough about the market and has enough experience within it to get you the best price possible based on a strategy that is scalable and that has worked time after time after time. So when we come back for our last segment, I've only got a few minutes left, and I'm going to try and rifle through this list, but I want to talk about some mistakes to avoid when you're house hunting. That was for the sellers. This next one's for the buyers. So if you want to contact me, you want to talk about selling your house, again, I'd love the opportunity to discuss it with you. Again, we're selling homes in 38 days on average, and for 98% of their asking price. We've already sold almost 200 homes this year, so we'd love to earn your business. My number is 843-345-1273. Again, that's 345-1273. Or go to my website, listingsincharleston.com, listingsincharleston.com. Stick around, Charleston, for the last few minutes of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA.
Have a real estate question? Ask Brian Beatty. Send him an email, lowcountryhomesales@gmail.com. The Brian Beatty Real Estate Show is on 1250 WTMA. Now, here's more of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA.
Welcome back, Charleston, to the last few minutes of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA. I was a little long-winded this morning on some of my other segments, so I don't have the ability to get through this entire list like I want to. But next weekend, we're going to talk more about some mistakes to avoid when searching for a new home. We're going to talk about, is our market starting to shift? Is there, I'm not going to use the word bubble, but is our market starting to slow down? I'm going to have some stats and some data to really support my position on this and give you an idea of what you need to be looking for come the next few months, and then, of course, into 2018. But let's just talk for the remaining few minutes here about what to avoid if you're searching for a house right now. And the first thing is not arming yourself with a pre-approval letter. Nothing says, I'm not really all that serious, like making an offer on a house without a pre-approval letter. And that's because sellers in this market they're very, very wary, very wary of entering into an agreement with a buyer that hasn't at least had a conversation with the lender. When I'm representing my sellers, there ain't no way we're taking an offer unless they've had a pre-approval in hand. I'm not gambling several weeks, if not months, of my seller's time on a contract that might look good on paper when we have no idea whether that buyer can afford it or not. And plus, for a buyer, it tells you how much you can qualify for so that you're not wasting your time looking at properties you can't afford. Second thing I want to say is don't house hunt without an agent. I mean, it's a very tight market, and the best way to find a house is to have a jump on the competition. And that means an agent will not only be the first one to see those new listings come up, but they know about listings that aren't even on the market yet. I talk on this program about shadow inventory. We're communicating with over 1,000 people a month on my team that are looking at buying or selling real estate. I have a huge list of people that are going to be selling next year. I have a huge list of people that are going to be buying next year. It's my job to see if I can put those people together. And we've done that successfully multiple times this year and in years past. So if you want to jump on the competition and you want to benefit, not just from that kind of secret inventory, so to speak, which is true because you as a buyer, you don't know who's ready to sell their home in 3 months or not. But we do. So if you're interested in a list like that, or if you're, a seller, we've got all these people that are looking to buy in the next few months. Maybe you don't want to go through the hassle of having your home listed. Maybe you are what we call a pocket listing, where, hey, we know that this guy wants to sell his house. He just really doesn't want to have it on the market. He doesn't want to have it open to the public so that a bunch of people can tramp through his house and waste his time. Bring him a qualified buyer and he'll sell it. That's called a pocket listing. So for the buyers out there, we have sellers ready to sell. For the sellers out there, we have buyers ready to buy. When you align yourself with a real estate agent, especially one that's doing a lot of business, that list is bigger. That's their database. Their database is their business. It's what they spend time every day growing, grooming, cultivating, and drawing business from. That's how effective agents get it done, in addition to all the other things we do, the marketing and finding buyers no matter where they are. It goes back to what we were talking about earlier. But That's about all the time that I have to get through in that list. We'll finish that next weekend. But on that topic, if you're a buyer and you're thinking about buying, we know of sellers that want to sell and vice versa. If you want to sell, we know of buyers that are ready to buy. So feel free to contact me and I'll put you in touch with the agents on my team that are working with those people, myself included. My number is 843-345-1273. That's 345-1273. Or go to listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Thanks so much, Charleston, and enjoy your weekend. Thanks for listening to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA.